Hey everybody, and welcome to Straight to the Point Tennis and our 3-minute racket review series. Today we're going to be looking at the Head Extreme Elite. I just wanted to shout out a couple of my friends on the Talk Tennis message boards who gave inspiration for this review, namely user Don Mikan, who created a thread about this racket, essentially revealing that you can get one of these for about $150 US, and another member, legendary member on the Talk Tennis boards, DR325i. Just want to shout him out for acquiring, customizing, and sending me this frame. Really appreciate that, as it gave me the opportunity to share some learnings in hitting with this one for other people who may not want to take the plunge yet to buy it. Now, all that being said, let's get into the playability. The ground strokes, I give it an 8 out of 10. I found there was easy access to spin and power. Did suffer a little bit in the control category just based on this lollipop head hoop beam design, which in my opinion has a little bit too large of a sweet spot for what I'm looking for. I could see this as a really playable option for someone looking for a lot of forgiveness. Next, on to net play, I'd give it a 7 out of 10 simply because the frame is very cumbersome. The head is pretty large with that lollipop hoop design. And in general, I had a little bit of a challenge getting it into the ideal position when hitting a volley. Next to our serving, I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think this one is great for slice and kick serves. Just so much access to spin, so much real estate across the hoop, which allows you to take a big cut and feel confident that you're going to apply enough spin to get the desired result. Next to power, I'd give this an 8.7 out of 10. This is one of the most powerful head frames I've used. May have something to do with the layup, may have something to do with the hoop design and just the string setup that I had in this one, which was a VS gut in the mains and a poly in the cross. But I thought there was a lot of power on tap. Definitely rivaled something like a 100-inch Babala or a 98-inch Babala frame. Next to control, I'd give this an 8 out of 10. I think based on the hoop design that I've mentioned a few times, the sweet spot is fairly large, so you can get a flyer here or there, let's say towards the tip or towards the throat yoke. You can essentially get a ball hotter than you might anticipate otherwise with a different type of frame. Next to spin, I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. This is one of the strongest suits of this frame. Like I mentioned with sort of the extreme lollipop design, it does allow you to take big cuts and have a lot of real estate across the string bed, similar to that of the gravity design, but I would say more of the same. Next to stability, another area where I think this frame really shines. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I think it was great on contact when you're trying to sort of use someone else's pace and just redirect the ball deep in the court. Definitely a really stable response across the entire string bed. Moving on to comfort, I would say this is maybe one of the downfalls of the frame, just based on, let's say, the composition of the layup. I think when Head went and made this a, let's say, cheaper, more budget option for people, they definitely had to compromise in certain areas, and you can tell that there's not much dampening technology. This might be welcome for some people, but for me, it felt a little bit too raw, a little bit too harsh. Next to our flex profile, I'd give that a lower yoke flex. Moving on to touch and responsiveness, I would give this a similar rating to the net play, something like a 7 out of 10. I think it does lack a little bit of ball feel across the string bed, but in general, it's still a very playable option. Next to our will it lead category, this will definitely work. I would say if you have some arm sensitivity, maybe look elsewhere, but otherwise it's a fantastic option. Lastly, in regards to the cosmetics, I give it an 8 out of 10. I really like the matte finish here and the 2 tiers of green. Thanks everybody for tuning into this racket review. We'll see you in the next one.